I say, how are you doing today? How are you doing today? I am your host, Lacey G Soldier Turner, and this is Pull Up the Curtain with G Soldier. And today I have a special guest with me. He has been in over 170 movies and television shows. He's been on CBS, Netflix, NBC, any movie company or network that you can think of. I promise you, he has been on it, man. He's been on shows such as Magnum PI, Stranger Things, but a Jurassic Park. My favorite show, 24. One of the busiest actors both in the film and the television industry. He's just been doing a lot of great things, and I'm proud to have a guest. We have the wonderful, amazing, talented James Dumont, man. Welcome to the platform.
What's going on, man? I was grooving on that opening. I was like, as a DJ, I was like, dun, 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 and I was like, I want to rock right now. I'm not bass and I want to get down. I'm not in. Yeah, so it's like I was just kind of grooving on it because the fun part is like, I just always try to figure out. Like once you know beats per minute, this is the key to the city before the young kids got the little sync button. Sync button, that's no skill. Any old clown can paint the sync button and then they'll slow it down and there's no skill in that.
That's right.
The skill is listening to a song and can I figure out how many beats per minute this song is, and can I transition into that one without everybody walking off the dance floor? So I was like, I was recently at something, and it was like here in New Orleans. I live in New Orleans. There's a cool place called the Emporium. That's like old school. It's got foosball tables. It's got pool tables. It's got the shooting hoop. It's got pinball machines, right? And there was a DJ there, and I was like grooving a little bit. Like I like the songs were right. He's a selector. He's not. The DJ. The real DJ is like there's selectors and then there's mixers.
Mm-hmm.
And so like selectors, like you select good music, but you don't know how to transition it from beat to beat, right? So you have to slows it down, and he's got. I was like, dude, that.
Hey, look, that's
you lost me, man. I like the song, but you lost me. And now the DJs now are all have ADD. They're like, they can't even play the whole song. It's like, oh man, I got to get all these. It's like, no. That song is worthy. Like Bob Marley, anything on Bob Marley, you could play. You should play the whole song.
That's right.
So the ADD DJs are like, I just gave you a little taste. You get excited, and then just as you're excited that song, I'm on to another song. I'm like, you know what I mean? So sorry, I didn't get on a DJ ramp there.
That's crazy. Look, that's the only place I've been everywhere. I haven't visited New Orleans yet, and I always say that's the next place I'm gonna visit.
You haven't been in America yet. This is what, like, you know what I mean? You haven't seen. You got to see the Paris of the South, bro. Like this is a whole different. It's a different deal.
All right, I'm gonna make my way down there. All right. Let's get into it. So. I'm switching
up backgrounds because my other backgrounds was red, like I had some red teeth and something. Now it's like my teeth are all white, like my back does. Gotta change it up.
Into your business, but I want to let the people get to know about you because you've been doing a lot of impressive things. Looking at your catalog, so can you let the people know where were you born and raised, and how was your upbringing as a child?
Well, you could kind of figure it out. Like I'm still a kid. So I was born and raised in Chicago and New York. So two major cities, mostly Chicago. My parents were divorced, so we moved around a bit, So Chicago and New York were my two places growing up, mostly Chicago. And I think I got no shame about telling you. Yeah, we were poor. We were poor living in the projects. My dad and I living near Cabrini Green. So it's like,
wow,
Candy
Man.
Yeah, this is the real deal. Cooley High was not a movie. That was the high school that was across the street. You know what I mean? And so understand, so growing up in that environment, because I think there is this kind of tendency now where people just kind of, like being poor or poverty is a choice. It's like, no, it's a circumstance of which many people have either risen from or die from. So there you go. That is America, But so my point is, I never kind of shy away from those early days, and also I think for me, that what's interesting is, I never saw color, man. I just didn't. We were all economically in the same boat. Like the fact that I'm a white kid in the projects, why are you coming at me? Like I don't have as much as you. Like you're not getting anything from me. So it was like I think it was only until I was like maybe like 10 till I realized, other white kids were pointing out, why are all your friends black? And I go, I didn't see them as black. I'm like, you're black? Like my friend, he lived off of on State Street. He lived near he had a doorman. I mean, like, you know what I mean? Like, he's black. I'm like, I didn't, you know what I'm saying? We were still buddies. So it was only, and ironically, it's, not ironically, it's just the false negative narrative that's been put out there is that, that we're all different, that we're all, it's like we were all, either we're all poor or we're all wealthy. So it's like, it's like, it wasn't, I never really saw color. And I think it was only till other white people pointed out the color of my friends that I then have to look at my friends differently. And I didn't want to, and I didn't really. But then when the cops treated them differently than me, I was like, I see how this is playing out. You know what I mean? Like, this is, all men and women are created equal, but we're sure not treated equal. Because I'm seeing something really quick here that I never saw before. And that's the beautiful. And I just feel like I want, again, I don't mean to make this kind of political, but it's being from those cities. The thing about New York is you get on a subway and there's a guy that's homeless, and there's 8 or 11 different languages spoken on that same train. There's somebody from Wall Street who makes $1 million and somebody who's homeless, and everything else in between. So I think and then you have to share that space. Yeah. You have to share that train. And I think when you have to share space with other cultures and other ethnicities and other things that are different from you, or you seemingly think they're different, when I'm down on Dr. Degrassi Tyson is like, we're all molecules, so fuck off.
Yeah,
there is no race, there is no culture. Even scientifically, we have lungs and hearts and molecules exactly the same. It's all these negative narratives that have kept people down for them to rise up, and have more, that have kept us different. So we're all the same. Like, I just feel like, so, as much as the whole idea is to turn on each other and, make this about identify here and this is my culture, like we're the same. So for me, growing up, because you had talked about growing up, it's like, I just never saw race until much later. And then I didn't like how others were viewing it. So I still go back of the only race that I subscribe to is the human race, and we're all part of that. So for me, it's like, that has a lot to do with the way that I work still, because I do play people that are straight out 100% white supremacist race. You know what I mean? Like, the banker is like, this senator is like, wait, so black guys, you figured out how to have your own bank and your own money and finance your own communities, and you got rid of the red line. You fucked with the status quo. Oh, no. You got to show us how to do that so we can make sure that never happens again, so that blacks can never be on the same equal footing economically as whites. Like, we got, you got to help me figure out how to do that. Right. Anthony Mackie, Sam Jackson, like, no, we don't. You played a game and we won your game, and now you don't like it, so you want to find ways in which to keep it the way it is. And so, for me, that has a lot to do with, my growing up has a lot to do with that. I had this opportunity that I blew. I've been trying to work with Spike Lee forever, and I've been in I did little Love and Basketball that he produced with, Sanaa Lathan and Gina Prince Bythrow directing. And it was like, I'm like, the token white, reporter. And like, I think it was only 2 or 3 white people in the whole movie. I was like, with pride, you know what I mean? And so holding it down for the white folks. And so in there, I had an opportunity to meet with Spike, and I've been wanting to talk to him about Do the Right Thing, that I saw Do the Right Thing in Times Square in New York. And I wanted to explain to him, when I grew up and I lived in the project, I DJ'd, because I've come from Chicago. I learned how to play house music from Larry Levan, who invented house music. So at the warehouse, and then he plays the dingbats where I played, at 10-year-old, I learned how to fucking spin, my 1200s and vinyl. So I learned from the Godfather, the real people that started that house sound. So, but I would go in and out of the project with my records, with my turntable. Like, never did I ever feel scared at all, Yeah. But I must say, when I saw Do the Right Thing and I left that movie theater in New York, I was like, oh man.
He was like, this is amazing.
I don't want to get out of the movie theater because I go, congratulations, man. You really just pulled off the fucking Band-Aid of race and inequality. And I go, this is the kind of filmmaker that I want to work with, because I go, I never saw it that way. And I'm so glad that somebody just fucking called it for what it is. You know, there was just a slew of all, and this is, you know, way before people being, you know, Rodney King and knees on necks. You know what I mean? I mean, this is, you know, serious. This is that the Seminole bumpers thing. And this shit was happening in New York. And I was like, I didn't want to leave the movie theater, because I was like, somebody's going, you know what? Just as they're gonna fucking burn down his thing, I'm gonna beat this guy's ass here just to go to even this out from all the dogs and the fucking people being washed out on the sidewalk, you know, hot coffee and diners, and you know, in the 50s, you know. So I point like, so I go, you know, thank you, you know, for just speaking truth to power. You know, this is, and we're still fucking struggling with this.
Yeah, real.
It breaks my heart. I was doing Stranger Things in Atlanta. I'm just dropping some little.
Hey,
look, Sam Jackson. Oh, let me pick that name up that I just dropped there. So I was doing Stranger Things in Atlanta, and they put me in this, you know, wonderful apartment around the corner from the, you know, Ebenezer Baptist Church, and it was, you know, Martin Luther King's Memorial Day weekend, and I went, and I just was there for hours on end, and I'm watching speeches from Martin Luther King from, you know, before he passed, about the inequality, the disparity of wealth in our country. It was 50, 60 fucking years ago, bro. So much has changed, and so much has not changed.
Yeah.
And this guy had to fucking die, and what. You know what I mean? We had a martyr and sacrifice, and it still didn't. It's a pebble in the pond. So I just feel like, you know, we're at a very interesting time now, and the storytellers are always the deal.
Yeah.
You know, I always say, people, don't ever let anybody disrespect you as a storyteller, as an artist, as a creative, ever. Ever. You know, like the people that I get on planes, they're like, oh yeah, what do you do? I'm an actor. It's like, oh, well, what kind of anything I'd see? It's like, yeah, worst War of the Worlds. Oh, sure thing. Catch Me If You Can. Seabiscuit, SWAT. You know, Dallas Buyers. I could like it. We could be here all day. And then the guy goes, speaking parts.
Great.
I was like, excuse me, bitch. I go, what kind of work do you do? Well, you know, I'm a lawyer. You know, mergers, acquisitions, blah blah blah. You know. And I go, oh, so you go to the office, you get coffee for everybody. You know, you get those papers, you file those papers down at the courthouse. Is that what you do? Because you basically just said, I'm nobody for what I do. And I go, man.
Hey, Mr. James Dumont is
yeah, like I'm not playing here, because I go, we all come from storytellers where there was no words at that point. They were grunting, and they got a rock, and they told the story of the people that were before us, and they warned us about the floods and the thing, right? We're all part of that.
Yeah.
And there was no billionaires. There was no fucking tech. There was not, you know, there was no lawyers and doctors and people that are, you know, of wealth. And there were no colonists then.
Yeah.
There were storytellers who told the stories of the humans that were before us and said, look, you got to watch out for this shit. You know, this planet, you can't fucking keep shitting on it, man. Like it's gonna flood. It's gonna fire. You know what I mean? You can't keep doing this. You know, like they told us that we were, you know. So once you understand that we derive from human being storytelling, we all do. You know, you can't front. I don't give a shit. You know, my brother-in-law just did a photograph. He had hosted an Army-Navy game, you know, and Elon Musk was his guest. And my sister's all like, oh my God, you know, and all the people around him are like happy and smiling. And Elon's like, I don't give a fuck, you know. I made $1 billion just sitting here, just shitting, watching this game. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I go, so for all that, you can't smile, you can't fucking be in the moment, you can't, you know what I mean? Like, I go, you're looked at by young people as like the you know what they emulate, but you're not even fucking happy, bro. So what's up? You know, so I kind of go, you know, for me, this is an interesting time where the creatives, everything. I mean, when COVID hit, what did everybody do? Watch billions of hours of television and movies and they didn't have to go to work, and so listen to music they didn't hear, and they're finally sitting down to the dinner table talking to these children that they've raised that tell them pay other people to raise. Like they had a fucking deal with each other, you know, and do things together. And I go, so, you know, for me, this full circle's like, you know, then you do a Candy Cane Lane, you do Eddie Murphy comedy with, you know, Tracy Ellis Ross, and you make a good, wholesome African-American family comedy Christmas movie, right? You make everybody laugh, you make everybody feel good, right? At a time where there's two wars, one of which is two groups of people that were indoctrinated to hate each other when they have more in common than any faction of people in the Middle East. Yeah. The Israelis and the Jews have so much in common. They've been told that they don't, but they do. They're all just fighting over land. So what are we talking? Fighting over land. Sound familiar?
Yeah.
So my point is, you know, we have these cycles of which that we go through, you know, and I'm just happy to be part of the storytelling process of the 20th and 21st century while I'm here. And I'll tell these stories, and hopefully they'll resonate. And you know, I'm physically only here for 80 to 100 years, and then I'm just a picture on a mantle.
And it's great that you said, like myself, I write and direct films, so it's really
you
great
have stories
that you
to tell while you're here. That's your job.
Yeah, it is great that you said don't ever let anyone disrespect you as a story.
It's a mission. That's your purpose. You have to tell the tale of your experience, of the experience of humans while you're here. That's the whole point.
So let me ask you.
It'd be great if you make a little money in the process. You know, put some good human beings on the planet. Don't fucking hate everybody. You know what I mean? Don't kill everybody. You know what I mean? That don't you know that love, you know, and respect people. Like, yeah, that's all we're hoping for, man. You know.
Okay. So let me ask you this: what got you into wanting to be an actor?
I think the thing for me, it's super personal, but I feel it's like it's universal. You know, when my parents being divorced, it was like I just became like this pawn between these two people, you know, and that I just wanted their love and their attention. And in that, you know, in the need for love and attention, did I find a calling, a skill, the ability to, you know, even when I had a babysitter, I did this. I created this one-man show called My Life as a DJ that I started just before my daughter was born. Now she's 22, so I'm dusting it off. It's sitting at my shelf here. I got it. It's time to get that story out. But point being is, I would play music for people, and I put this song on, and this woman just cried because her son had died in Vietnam. And this song, and she asked me to get up and dance with her. And I'm like, I'm a kid. It was just creepy and weird. But my point is that may we all have the experience of finding the thing or things that impact the world while we're here. Yeah. And so I figured out at a very young age that I could get attention. I could affect people by what I said or did, or the music that I played, or the stories that I told, or how funny I was, or how I was a class clown, or, you know, I went so far as when I was in grammar school, I loved Saturday Night Live so much that I would watch the TV and I would write down the scenes. I would steal the material, and then I would perform it in class because some people didn't know or watch Saturday Night Live. So I would redo my favorite skits, and the teachers were like, well, the only way this motherfucker I'm sorry, I swear like a sailor, but but the only way this motherfucker stays still because of his ADHD, you know, like we didn't know what it was then. He's just a troubled kid. You know what I mean? He just can't keep his hands to himself. They didn't know what it was, you know. Ritalin was something. I'm like, I ain't taking from drugs. Huh? Yeah. Like if I let him tell the story, if I let him to do these skits, he'll shut the fuck up, listen to me, and actually like my class, and he'll get something out of it. So for me, it was like kind of early on. I think I recognized that my mom was sick specifically was like, this kid's got it. He can't not talk. He can't not, as you just saw, I did a fucking monologue for the first 6 minutes of this shit. And it's just monologuing. It's like, you'll get a question in sometime. So point is Well, I always put it all down here, and I'm like, man, let you edit it. You can cut this into a million different clips of gold if you want.
I love the natural. I love the naturalness. So
I'm just like, I never know how these things go, and again, I got to, I'm pimping the candy cane stripes. I'm doing my thing for Amazon, as if Jeff Bezos needs more money from anybody. But I'll take it. I'll take your residuals. I'll take, now I'm getting paid a little bit better.
So let me ask you this: how did you feel when you got your first ever role? Like, what was that feeling like?
Man, it was incredible. I did a lot of theater as a kid. I did, a lot of theater when I was growing up, and then my uncle was the head of the CTA, Chicago Transit Authority, and the movie Blues Brothers was in town. And there's all these scenes, just like anytime you shoot something in Chicago, it's like that elevated train is like it's a calling card, it's a signature. So I had this gig where he said, you could be on the train platform when they're doing the dance scene over the train, twist it, shake, shake, here we go, loop, loop, it's Ray Charles, shake it up, baby, so I'm like, I'm up on the train platform, just cheering it on and great. And then all of a sudden, like one of the moms of the kids was like, my kid's got to go to the doctor. He can't be here. I thought this was going to be for a couple hours. He can't be here all day. He's got to go. And they're like, he's in the, like, we're shooting right now, bitch. Like, you can't be taking your kid, And so the deal is they get a bullhorn out. It's like, anybody know how to dance? I was like, I know how to dance, And they pulled 4 or 5 us, and they showed us the routine. And I went from being up on the platform to like right there, like on the bottom right, So it starts out with one kid, but then the big scene, when you cut back, it's like me in the front, and I'm like got long hair, and I'm doing my shit, And I was like, I'm discovered, you know what I mean? Like, I'm a star. Like, this is the story you hear about, Marilyn Monroe went into that drugstore, and they saw her, and she became a fucking star. Like, I was on the train platform, and I became, I'm in the front row, you know what I mean? I'm in the front row, and so like that was a big thing for me. And then when I was in high school, everybody was auditioning for the movie Class. It was Rob Lowe, and everybody wanted the Andrew McCarthy role. Like all Chicago actors, Alan Ruck, John Cusack, Casey Simasko, like all the Chicago dudes were trying to get that role. We didn't, but they ended up putting us in different roles. So I ended up getting like a featured extra that I got upgraded to my first speaking role, of which the lines got cut out. But the point is, I got a Mr. Simons, I got a name. Yes, here, you're wanted in the office. Like, don't say shit to anybody. Don't say anything to anybody. And then I like walk out. Like I even improv. I had one line, and I improv that. That shit got cut. But point was, I had my first speaking role. I was off school for weeks on end. One of the teachers was giving me shit, trying to fail me and not let me graduate because he's just literally a closeted actor. This kid's not gonna. He has to be in my class to listen. I was like, he made up all the work. He did my mom just pulled him aside. It's like, this is really about your ego. He did all his work. He made it all up. You just want him to sit and watch your class and perform because you're a frustrated homosexual in the closet actor. Like you're just, you know what I'm saying? You haven't come out yet, and that's not you and the head of the theater department are both have wives, right? And then you go to New York together to watch shows, right? Fucking, one of the guys became like a child molester. Like, seriously, bro. Like the Me Too movement, like one of and it was huge famous actors at my school. You got Cusack, you got Jeremy Piven, you got like DVD Vincentes, you got Leeli Demos, you got like Joan Cusack. This guy was diddling kids, man. And he's retired thinking everything's all good. Me Too comes out, and one of my friends, Jeff, was like, the head of our theater, the high school, he was always touching us. And they were like, what? And then it's like 5,000 reports later. I mean, the guy's like, his life is, I'm like, that's a story. I might want to do that story, but then I'm like, not that story. Too much damage on that one. You know what I mean? Because, it's like that. I was telling one of my students recently, because I've been coaching, for the last 7-8 years. And I was like, there was a character, someone was intoxicated, and they said all kinds of, terrible shit when they're drunk, and and the next day they don't remember anything. But everybody else has to fucking deal with the fact that, you said some shit that, you were drunk and they're drunk. And like, yeah, but what you said was very hurtful and it's probably coming from someplace. And so I said, some of that dealing with the effects of that is almost like a molester. The person just does something to you and they get away with it and everything's fine. But you're the one that has to deal with the repercussions of that. The victim's the one that really kind of, and if you look at mental health and you look at, the crime rates and things, they're traced to a lot of physical, emotional, sexual abuse. And it's usually the abuser kind of gets away with shit. And the person who's abused is the one that really ends up abusing other people and doing things. So there's a cycle there's a human cycle to that. And so I don't know what got me on that. What's that?
I said R. Kelly.
Yeah. I mean, you know what I mean? You have all of this, like, why just you destroyed this person, and got away with it. Harvey Weinstein, like, forever and ever and ever, and recently Jeremy Piven, like somebody who had been known, that I went to high school with was known, and now they're kind of, running the roost, doing stand-up just to kind of make a living, and I was like, but you're going to be on the road, you're going to be dealing with women. And so you're sure you're not going to, you're not going to be tempted. I mean, again, I don't, I'm talking out of school here. This will go public, but public information is public information. I'm just saying, but also I believe that every human being does have a potential to change and to learn. We all make mistakes. We're all conditioned certain ways, culturally, economically, spiritually, intellectually, all kinds of things that, but I do believe the human being has the great, unlike other animals or sentient beings, I think we have the ability to turn poison into medicine, turn it around. So, for those who have been through some shit, you can, there's another side. You can get out, if you can get through it, around it, over it, there is another side to it,
All right. So let me talk about this. You in the number one film that was on Prime.
Number one worldwide, and we're in the second week still. Like
up the theaters,
starring
Eddie Murphy and Tracy Ellis Ross, Candy Caneland. Can you tell people about how you got that role and what was it like? What is it like working with Eddie Murphy?
Yeah, the cool thing is this is my second time working with Reggie Hudlin. I've been a fan of his stuff since House Party, because as a DJ, how many house parties did I did way before that movie came about? But that became such a cultural phenomenon of let's go over to somebody's house and just fucking throw down and have a fucking killer party. I was like, I did that while I was in high school for, frat parties, you know what I mean? So it's like, for me, he just caught that movie and caught the, the dances and the sense of culture, everybody together, it was like this, like that was the Hudlin brothers, that was such a cohesive film for me. And kind of like, and I've told him as such. So I ended up doing the movie Safety for him for Disney Plus. And he had seen my work. He was familiar with my work. I'd worked with Peter Berg 3 times. And Peter Berg was directed by Reggie in The Great White Hype with Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah.
So Samuel L. Jackson, Peter Berg leads, and Reggie Hudlin directed that. And so every time that I'm with Reggie, I take a picture and I send it to Peter Berg. I say, well, Reggie, keeping it together, 6 degrees of Peter Berg, forget Kevin Bacon. I was like, Berg is the man. So it's my way of which to kind of stay connected to that kind of circle. And even then, Reggie was the executive producer on Django Unchained, of which I had a role, but I was in a movie in Mexico City for 6 weeks, and Quentin wanted me to come down and meet with him and figure out what role he wanted. He wanted me in the movie. We just didn't know what it was. But the producers wouldn't let me out because they were afraid I was going to be gone too long. And and I didn't think at the time. I figured Django was going to be big because it was Quentin. I just didn't think it would be as big as it was.
We're way big,
yeah. And the fact I was shooting in Louisiana, my hometown, it was tough. Because now Quentin's very, it's hard to get into Quentin Tarantino film, even though Victoria, now Vicky Thomas, who cast Safety, also cast Candy Cane Lane and also cast all of Quentin's stuff. So I'm in Vicky Thomas's world, which is great. So I did the movie Safety for him in Atlanta. He's from East St. Louis, which is Illinois. It's that.
I'm in St. Louis, Missouri.
Oh, dude. So so he's St. Louis. So we're all cut from the same cloth. Like it just and he went on to Harvard and I went on to BU. It's like we're two kids from the Midwest that did well. And so we just clicked, man. We clicked instantly. The first scene, the first day of working on thing, they had 200 football players in a room. I'm coming in doing my speech. He goes, let's just do a rehearsal and see what we're going to figure out for camera. I was like, okay. And then I shot, we did that first rehearsal. He's like, God damn, we should have shot that, man. Like that was like, I said, no, that's just a warm up, buddy. I got two. I'm like, I'm good. And then we knocked out that whole scene. He thought he had half a day, 4 hours scheduled for that thing. And we were done in an hour, and so it's like, so he's like, we're going to be working together again. Like, I like you, you come in and like a closer in baseball, you got to throw 9 strikes and get us out of this inning, man. We've been here all day. You got to come in. And so for me, that's how we really built that connection. And then throughout the day, we kept talking music and we were singing, we were singing Rapper's Delight together. And like, we all knew, I said a hip hop, a hibbity, hip, a hoppity, don't stop, we're rocking to the bang. So we knew. Now what you hit, like there's a couple lyrics where some people are like, okay, now does the person really know it? Because then we kept going, and then he had a couple that he knew and a couple that I knew. So between the two of us, we had the whole thing down. But we just it just clicked. And then Candy Cane Lane was coming up. He popped me a quick little email. I got something for you. There's some roles in here. I'm not trying to figure out which roles would be right. Put yourself on tape for this thing, because I don't make all the decisions. It's a thing with Amazon, and so put yourself on tape. And the boss, I could have done the boss or the teacher, which is Stephen Tobolowsky. I was thinking about the neighbor too. So there was all these. So he said, start with this one, see what you do with that. So I did a self tape. Sent that in, immediately checking my availability. Vicky had already known my work. Reggie was there. And then there was this kind of like figuring out schedule stuff. Everybody was there was still a little COVID thing or another bout of it. And so I wasn't sure what was going to happen. And then finally it came through. And I shot the last 2 days of shooting, which was in March of this year, which is amazing. Cause like the last 2 days of shooting in March and the movie's out December 1. Yeah. With all the music, with all the ILM, the animation and the CGIs and all that stuff. And the same situation happened for me. I my first day there was Eddie's last day of shooting. I was just like, so I was like, Eddie's in the same scene with me, but we're not working opposite each other. All my stuff was with Tracy Ellis Ross, who is amazing and Blackish, and she's so sharp and so quick. And I'm like, I told her, I was like, as a DJ, I played a couple of your mom's songs, just a couple, maybe like a million fucking times, When didn't I play a Diana Ross song or the Supremes? I don't think there was a DJ gig I never played. That's that was a guarantee, You, Aretha Franklin, James Brown, there was guarantee. Yes. And so point is that she's very sharp coming off 3 camera. I'm coming off The Righteous Gemstones on HBO, 3 seasons now. We're going to greenlit for a 4th season on HBO. My son's also on the show as well. Yeah. So, that show is just filled with some of the ringers of the smartest, quickest, funniest goddamn people you can probably ever work with. You got Danny McBride, you got Greg Allen Williams, you got John Goodman, you got Adam Devine, you got Walton Goggins. I mean, you just Edie Patterson. Oh my God, next level ridiculous. Cassidy Freeman. I go down the list, man. But there's just ringers of just smart, quick people. So for me to walk in on set when everybody's ready, tired, and want to go home, and I bring as you see today, I bring my energy, my input. Yes. Reggie was like, "Oh, well, thank you." This is, you're coming in. Everybody wants to go home, but it's like, we got a lot more movie to shoot. We got CGI. We got to do the conveyor belt with the CGI ducks, and we got to time it all out. So it took them 3 hours. So my first day there was Eddie's last day. I didn't get to see Eddie on set. I saw him at a distance. Everybody's saying goodbye, and I'm coming in at the end. I said I'll see him at the premiere, and I did. I got to talk to him at the premiere.
Okay.
And I wanted him to kind of know who I was after the movie had come out, as opposed to, which is always a challenge, is trying to, I'm in something, but I got to explain to everybody, okay, so I'm the boss. I'm Tracy Ellis Ross's boss. I hate to have to fucking explain, who I am. It's been my deal forever. I'm that guy, So point being is that, and then Tracy and I just riffed. I mean, she was they ready to go home, but they'd set this character up, and this is all my shots, and she knew this is part of the deal. And we also didn't know each other, and we just had a blast. We improv'd a lot of stuff. And Kelly Younger, the great writer, I used to remember his plays in LA and New York and stuff. And so I said, can we, and they go, oh, no, you guys do what you need to do. It's all there, so, and Reggie, same thing, the editors from the movie came up to me at the premiere, and they're like, dude, Donald's reaction, we had so much to choose from. Thank you for that. It's always my favorite kind of thing. And then, so our experience was great. And then when I got to the premiere, I got to talk to Eddie about, I knew his brother Charlie, because I used to DJ at the Limelight, where Charlie hung out a lot. And he had this really great, you could, talking about his brother, it got right to his heart real fast. And I said, I said, Charlie Murphy had stories, but I got Charlie Murphy stories. He goes, I bet you do. And that was our little moment together, So I got that, which is great. And Eddie's been, a huge influence, he's a fucking icon, man. Body of work just speaks for itself. And and what I like about the movie is, there's acting chops in there. He's an actor, comedian, it's not a comedian trying to be an actor. He's the real deal. And some of those little moments, when I'm not going to spoil it for people, but there's moments where he just kind of breaks your heart a little bit, and you feel, and you're like, oh, that's right. Eddie's got that. That's right. Eddie's got that thing. And then there's Eddie, in your face, funny as fuck, subtle, but yet then extreme, super physical. Right. Mm-hmm. So you kind of get all the goodies there. And the Tracy and Ellis pair, that's man, that's a 1-2 punch for good, and the supporting cast is great. It's all ringers in there. If you look at that whole movie, it's like Vicky Thomas there's ringers, everybody. Like Nick Offerman's an old friend of mine, and it's Stephen Tobolowsky, and then the people I didn't know, I knew of, but I didn't know. It's like even in the animation stuff, like Chris Red, these people were just awesome, And then one of the, TJ was also in Safety with me. So it was nice to kind of be in another, movie together. But, some of the shots that we were doing, it took about 4 hours, 3-4 hours from to set it all up. And then I came in and did my work in 20 minutes. And he's like, you're an assassin, bro. This is why we're always working. Because it took us hours to get this going. You came in, knocked it out. Now we're on to something else. You know what I mean? So, I was the right guy at the right time under the right circumstances, and I tried to do that as best I can. All
right. So make sure y'all watch Candy Cane Lane on Prime.
Yes, over and over and over and over again.
Over and over. So look, you brought this up a little bit. I know you played Chad on HBO's The Righteous Gemstones.
I do indeed.
How was it? How is it working alongside your son Kelton Dumont?
It's a we've been in scenes together, but we haven't had any scenes together, and they keep promising me that we're going to have some little square off between his little smart ass and my smart ass, which I'm waiting for. So I'm each time I do an interview, I'm putting it out there. It's like, you guys keep promising that we're going to be in a scene together and acknowledging one each other together. We're in scenes, but we're never talking to each other. It's like, so I'm hoping that. But they have some big plans for him as well. He had a really good arc this last season. I had some good stuff. We're doing – what's interesting about it is that show, the master shots are shot as written, medium as written. Then we improv a little bit, but then when we get to the close-ups, it's all improvisation. So you'll get whispered, okay, tell them you got the peanut butter under your nuts. Yeah, man. Right now, I have chunky peanut butter just right under my nutsack. How do you think I feel? It's squishy. It's terrible. It hurts. But it smells pretty good. You know what I'm saying? PB&J? You down for some PB&J? It's creamy now. It started crunchy, but under my nuts, the nuts are not nuts anymore. They're creamy. It's It's got like a locker smell. You know what I'm saying? So the idea is that you're given this license and freedom to say whatever is going to come to mind.
Yeah.
And you got to make it funny. And then on the other side, you'll see the crew is like, covering each other's mouth. They're like, and then you say cut, and then everybody fucking cracks up. And I was like, I'm getting paid for this shit.
He said,
I used to get kicked out of school for this kind of like, you know what I mean? I get kicked out of school for fucking being a smart ass, saying all kinds of shit that would like get everybody going. And now I'm getting paid on HBO, working opposite John Goodman and Danny McBride. And they're writing this for me. Like they're giving me softballs in order to hit home runs. And so then I think the job is it's like a prank. It's like who can say the craziest shit to each other, and can you keep a straight? Can you stay in? It's like you watch. I'm sure people have seen this on Instagram, like the outtakes of like Will Ferrell and like Craig Robinson going together. And go watch the outtakes of like Danny McBride or these guys. It's like they will fuck you up, man. And it's you got to play to win. It's like I ain't blinking. I'm not cracking. Even though everybody around me is on the other side of this camera, everybody is just holding it back. But how fun is it when you're on a show that when you call cut, like everybody just
laughs.
And Danny McBride, I got to tell you something, man. I told my son, I said, hey man, I'm gonna tell you right now, you're spoiled. It's gonna be all downhill. Your career's downhill from now. I was like, because Danny is everything you think about him. It's more kind, more generous, more funny, more serious, more devoted, like no pretense. He talks to everybody. He knows that the success of this is everyone. We're all in this together. Right. And oftentimes that dynamic is not on film or TV sets. There's a power dynamic. It's a dictatorship. It's not a democracy, which is why we cannot let somebody in to be a dictator in a country that is purely needs democracy more than any other country in the world. Right. So again, I got a little political, but it goes to my business too, which is if there's an asshole up top, it's everybody's fucking with each other. It's a power game everywhere through. But when you have the Danny McBrides and the David Gordon Greens and the Jody Hills, and they're working with people that they've been working with for over 25 years, and the thing that the reason that there's a long ass list of people that want to be on our show is because the reputation is you will never not have a good time. You will never regret. Yes, you were not HBO. That phrasing is right. It's not TV. It's HBO. Trust me, I've seen those residuals. Right? It's not network money, right? Even though they're now getting ads. Fuck you very much. Yeah. But the point is you have such a good time and such a great experience that you can't replicate that somewhere else. So there's a long ass list of people that I want to be on our show. And I'm just happy that our group of this, we call the Goon Squad, they were just going to have us for a couple episodes and these are just a couple of dudes that Danny has. And each one of us, Troy and I and Jay and Jody, we're the mod squad, and we all have our own strengths and we have our own. And so because we bring our own thing to the table, they started to go, no, dude, like Danny's got to have a posse like that. He has to have, so we call it the ass kickers for Christ. The Goon Squad kicks ass in the name of Christ. We will kill in the name of Christ. That motherfucker needed it. He needs to go to heaven anyways. I don't think he's going to get there, but I think he expediently needs to be there. I think he's better served in hell than on this planet. So I'm doing the God's bidding. I'm doing Loman's work here. So, and then we kind of became that for him. And then when it came to season 3, it was like, that's all we did. I mean, we're head stomping, we're kicking, we're punching, we're slapping,
they doing everything.
We're doing whatever he wants, and that also just gives him all kinds of fun and power of as much as everybody doesn't give him, his own reign. He's got these dudes that'll do whatever the fuck he wants. So it just opens up great possibility, you know. And that's, I always try to encourage, you know, I've been coaching for the last, you know, 8 years. I do a thing called On Camera Workout, which is on, you know, online, oncameraworkouts.com. And I teach people how to work on camera and create human beings, and mostly through self-tapes, because most of my career has been defined by self-tape auditions that I've done, you know, in wherever I'm at, you know. Yeah. And so the ability to be able, and even this, you know, Gemstones, 3.5 seasons off of one self-tape.
Yes.
You know, I auditioned for this other role as Scotty from season 1 that I really wanted. And I thought that's the role I should have. And they were like, could you be the fat, bald buddy of, and I was like, I want to be the bad guy. I want to be the guy that kicks Danny's ass and, you know, gets run over. And, you know, I want to do that. And then I'm like, well, he's gone. Yeah, he's gone in season 1. I'm on my 4th season now. So I'm like, you know,
it all worked out.
As they say, you know, you make plans, you know, when you make plans, something better. You just don't know something better on the other side. Yeah. So I always feel like, you know, we all think we know what we want, but ultimately, you know, you get what you need. And maybe even more than that, more than you ever fathomed. And that's the reason to get up.
So let me ask you about this. You also play tracksuit show.
I do.
Spencer Confidential.
I have a matching tracksuit and car. The color and the tracksuit match each other.
How does it work with Mark Wahlberg?
What's that? Oh, yeah, dude.
With Mark Wahlberg.
My, you know, I'm an undesignated Wahlberg brother, because it's been 3 movies at this point. You know, I might have overstayed my welcome on the 3rd one, because I said some shit, because that's just because I'm from Chicago. And so you can take the kid out of Chicago, but you can't take Chicago out of the kid. So like my first day of shooting on Spencer Confidential, it's the 3rd movie. Like, you know, the first one, Deepwater, I'm playing the suit, and Wahlberg was just fucking with me, and I was fucking with him because he's the working dude and I'm the suit. So he gave it to me, and I gave it fucking right on back to him, right? So then the second movie, Patriots Day, I'm in Boston, and I'm playing, you know, like a emergency management kind of officer in the thing, and he because he was, you know, we have a brotherly fuck with you relation, like I'm about to, you know, come here, you know, slap, you know, like neck respect, like we used to do, you know, and then he goes, come here, I'm gonna talk to you, and I was like, nah, I'm gonna stay right here, go ahead. You can tell me from here. And he goes, no, really, I want to talk to you. I was like, all right, I'm gonna be this arm's length away because I know you pull some shit. And I was like, no, I really want to talk to you. He goes, look, man, we did a screening of Deepwater Horizon in Chicago. And I was like, oh, my hometown. And he goes, man, I just want to tell you, you were fantastic, man. Pete and I kept talking about, like, man, you just brought it. You got the arrogance of the guy, and then he freaks out like a little bitch at the end, you know, like you really, you know, we really like what you're doing, and that's why you're here, man. I just want to tell you, you know. And I was like, and he goes, no, that's it. I was like, okay. And he goes, and stay out of my outline, right? No. So we had, that was, I think, a really turning point in our relationship, you know, is that we had fun fucking with each other in New Orleans. I kept giving him, he had been in New Orleans before, but I told him a couple little places that he didn't know about. He took his friends after, and they're like, damn, dude. That was, he goes, I'm still fucking drunk from the food, not the alcohol. Because that was like, well, look at me. I know where to eat. Food, trust me. I know. Foodie. I got shit on me. Like Wendell Pierce and I talk about where to go. Like I know what's up. Me, Mackie, Wendell Pierce is like, we argue about what's the better gumbo. We know. So point being is that, so yeah, we kind of got we connected because we were 12 weeks of work on Deepwater Horizon in New Orleans, and then a couple weeks in Patriots Day. But that's really where it starts to kind of solidify the relationship. So then the first day, so 3rd time, I'm like, yeah, man, I'm like smart ass, and I'm a tracksuit, you know, and I'm like, so he walks in, and I'm like, it's just a good vibration, sweet. You just walk right in, and he just looks at me, you know, and I'm like, it was the first day of shooting. And he goes, that's good to see you, man. I was like, yeah, man, 3 times the charm, right, motherfucker? I was like, let's do this. He goes, oh, we're going to do this. And this is the scene where he grabs me and puts me in the fucking footbath, you know? And so It was on, but and I turned to his like his stunt guy, and I was like, dude, like I good vibration. Like as a DJ, I played that fucking song like all the fucking time. Like does he not want to be talking to Marky Mark? Like did I piss him off or something? He goes, no man, no, you're fine, you're good. It's just when he gets on set, he's very intense and he's very serious because time is money. He's also producing it, so my energy of fucking around and frantic. He's on a different sphere. He's playing Spencer. He's on a different frequency. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I was just like, but I was first, and then I did said some shit. And Peter Berg was like, don't say that. And I was like, what? And he just don't. What, too soon? I was like, yeah, that you just no. I'll tell you later. And then he pulls me aside later. He goes, yeah, that dude. We know that guy. Don't say that name. Yeah, that was a very funny joke. And I go, hey man, it's the first day of school, man. It's like the first day was just very hard. Yeah. But the next 3 months, it just became, really fantastic. It was freezing fucking cold in Massachusetts, and I'm wearing that tracksuit is, I had thermal and layers on layers. The reason I kept, I also kept saying to Pete, I was like, yeah, man, he should be. I'm gonna drop weight on the workout. No. Keep eating. I was like, we got you at a hotel at the North End. He goes, I want him fucking Michelin man by the time. I want him puffy and fat. And I was like, all right, I'll eat all the pastas and cannolis from Mike's Pastries and So yeah, so we have a great time. Peter, I texted him just the other day. He and Mark represent Regis Prograis, who just lost his title to Haney, which I couldn't fucking believe. So we're we stay in touch with each other. He's done a couple of projects, most of it in areas that I wasn't able to work because of COVID up in Canada. He had a limit of Americans. Same thing with New Mexico; they had to be locals. So it's like the roles that we're not. We'll get back to each other at a certain particular point. I have a project for Mark and Pete, which even though I have a relationship, it's hard to get through those layers because I don't have an agent or manager or money behind those projects. But it's one of those relationships that we're gonna do for a while. Like Reggie and I are on our second film, and they're already talking about wanting to. People keep saying you should do a sequel. Candy Cane Lane sequel. It's like, so we'll see if that kind of happens. Hopefully Don will be part of that. But yeah, there's just one of those things where you build a relationship. I've worked with Spielberg twice. 3 times if you include Jurassic World. I work with Steven Soderbergh twice. I think the idea is that you build a relationship with collaborators and storytellers. And the thing with Reggie and I, and the same thing with Pete, is that it, like a relationship or a couple, he'll start an idea about wanting to give me a note or direction of something, and I finish his sentence because we're on the same kind of frequency and wavelength. And so when you build that kind of rapport, that's why you see a lot of stuff like, Scorsese and DiCaprio, and you see, certain directors, and I have lists of directors of people that I just really want to collaborate with. And so for me, I'm kind of constantly figuring out, this is the thing that I say to actors that hopefully people hear. I do a lot of coaching for people for auditions and career counseling stuff, and so I'll share it here too because I think it's a good environment for it. And it's really for any creatives or any storytellers. You have to really sit down and what are the 10 to 30 things that make you different, special, or unique? Why you? What makes you different from the kids I grew up with, the environment you grew up with, the people you go to school with, your family, your other friends, people you do business with? What makes you you? Why you? And if you can identify bare minimum 10 to 30 things, you can do as far as you want, but truthful, honest, grounded, hard work, hopeful, optimistic. What are your superpowers? And that when you're in terms of telling the stories or in terms of kind of marketing yourself or putting yourself out there, you need to know, as Aristotle said, the key to all knowledge is to know thyself. You need to know who you are. I like that. And if you can identify what those qualities are, 10 to 30 is a bare minimum. You can keep going to town on that.
Yeah.
But and then of those 10 to 30, what are the things that are most important to you? Family, health, friendship, love.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Relationships. What's the real? Because I think that a lot of those things get sold out and put into a lot of those things get questioned as you move up the food chain, and you start to lose sight for why you did this and what's important. But I think if you really stay to what I consider to be what are your core values, I don't do this. I don't like, I mean, trust me, I play characters that I wouldn't piss on if they were on fire. I could give, like these people should not have existed, but they do. And it's my responsibility to be truthful to their language and their vision and their extremism and their racism and their hatred and their ignorance and their short-sightedness. But that's not who I am. But I have a responsibility to be truthful and honest to those people. So, as Shakespeare said, to hold this tour a mirror to nature. Like this is it. This is who we are. This is what's happening. So I have a responsibility to that. And that just once you kind of work from those kind of places, it transcends fame, transcends wealth. I'm at a point where my daughter is, raised and out of school, no debt, got a job, pays her own bills. My son's halfway out of college. If he does a couple more seasons, he'll have all his college money and be able to live, and I don't have to. So I don't have to do jobs that I don't have to be doing pimping myself out to film and television work if I don't want to tell that story or that I want to do that character. In fact, I just got offered, first time in 3.5 years, I just got an offer, and that's a respectable thing for a guy like me to not have to audition or interview. To do a job that I've already done for a character you've already seen, which is why you're calling in the first place. Why can't you just make an offer? So somebody made an offer and I go, it's not the money that I'm looking for, but the character is interesting. And I was saying to myself, man, I'd love to play a coach. Here I am playing a hockey coach. It's like, so there's something about also too, when you kind of identify these superpowers, you then start to put into, like when I'm doing a career blueprint for people, I mean, I lay out a whole plan where they just, they start to look deeper about where, rather than, what do you have to offer? Everybody hits these motherfuckers up for what they want or need from them. I need a picture. I want an autograph. I want to do business. Everybody's trying to extract it from people.
Yeah.
What do you have to offer? Like, what are you adding to the mix? And you have to figure out what that is in order to find the right collaborators for it. If they were make a life story of your movie, who's going to direct that movie and why? Why that person? So I think once you start to identify who your collaborators are, you identify the qualities about you that make you different, special, unique, not in an arrogant or pejorative or elitist way. This is just who I am. I'm unapologetic of who I am.
Yeah.
And you have to bring those qualities to your characters. If you look at every self-tape that I've done, every movie that I've done, there's those superpowers, Quick smile is almost in every damn thing I do, no matter what the character's doing, because that's how I am. I quickly can keep myself, I'm a Buddhist of 35 years, I've turned poison into medicine. And that's the whole point. That's the whole point of being a human being, is your ability to, you know what I mean? That's the whole point.
And look, like me as a writer and director, I always try to tell, powerful stories that people try to sweep under the rug. But I want to ask you about two things that you played in that I felt were powerful pieces. The Underground Railroad and you play Henry Wade in the Roe versus Wade. How was it with those two films? Because those are, dealing with real life things.
Yeah. For me, I saw Barry Jenkins' work when I saw what was it? He won the Oscar for it. It's Midnight, something Midnight. I can't think of the title, but I'm blanking on the title. There's a scene in Barry Jenkins' film that's all music. It's in the diner. It's the two of them in the diner, and these guys, had a what would be considered a homosexual relationship when they were young kids, when they were boys, and one guy's a fucking heavy hitter gangbanger. He's not showing that card. And the other guy's, he's still in love with the dude. And he goes, I played this song, and he plays this song on the jukebox, and it's all done with music. And there's no dialogue whatsoever. It's all done with body language, like it's so good. And when I watched that movie, I was like, man, I gotta work with Barry Jenkins. Like, again, this goes back to talk about. I'm not much for vision boards, but I also believe that you can manifest anything you pretty much put your mind to it. We get clouded with our own bullshit that gets in the way. We can manifest anything, 100%. Because again, I just said to you, months ago, like I said, man, I'm watching Coaches. I was like, man, I never watching Friday Night Lights, old episodes. Like, man, I've never got to play a coach, man. I really, and here I am. I mean, first of the year, I'm going to be doing the very thing that I said months ago. So you can put those things out there. And I remember watching that movie and that scene, I was like, man, it was such an actor scene. It was so visually told and it was beautiful. It was almost like this, you're watching two people be very close and intimate with each other. They're not having sex. It's not about the two men. It's not about any of those. It was about intimacy, and it was about the shared history they had, and all in their eyes, and the music's playing, and not a word was spoken, man. It was all body language. And I go, now that's a motherfucker. Like, that's to give an actor a moment like that would be considered indulgent in our world. But to give these two actors that scene and that moment, like, I go, that's the kind of guy that I want to work with. You would give an actor a scene like that would just be visual. And again, as a DJ with the music under it, I mean, like, it was choreographed like a fucking ballet, man. It was just, So I said to myself, I got to work with that guy. And lo and behold, an audition comes in with Megan Lewis, who put me in Treme and got me with Deepwater Horizon, that led to 2 other movies with Peter Berg. Megan's like, I got this guy. He's a pretty racist dude. He's gets in this. I was like, yeah, it's that time period still, slavery. There's it was going on. I was like, I'm in. I'm like, and it's Barry Jenkins, and I did the audition, and I didn't know this till later when I got on set. Barry was like, at that point in time, I did Dallas Buyers Club, and that was really the movie that really kind of pulled me out of the pack of the character guys. Yeah. Most of the time, you'll see almost all of us kind of supporting lead actors have a movie that kind of pulls us out. Paul Giamatti was the Howard Stern movie. Yeah. I think Philip Seymour Hoffman might have been Twister or Scent of a Woman. But definitely Boogie Nights for him. Boogie Nights for John C. Reilly. We go to Boogie Nights really for Philip Seymour Hoffman. So there's certain movies that like pull us, like my friend John Carroll Lynch, Fargo. Certain movies just kind of we get a shot that kind of, we're not just a utility dude. And I think the industry still tries to fucking regulate me and keep me in sameness. But I set goals and dreams, and I understand who I am enough that I put things into motion. That roles that I did this pilot about a guy who goes into an Indian sick and just kills all these people. He's just like these mass murderers. He's from the military, knows how to do it. And I'm going, I'm never going to get it. Like, that guy's how do you get your head behind all of that, and you're in a punk band and you create all this white supremacist, racist lyrics of white. Like, I go, and I learn how to play the guitar. I mean, all kinds. So my point is so Barry Jenkins, everybody in the industry saw Dallas Buyers Club, that scene between Jared and I. Jared feels that's the scene that got him the Oscar. The other scene in the mirror is pretty solid. He goes, but it's the heartbreaking father and son scene.
You took your glasses
off. Take the glasses off. He tells me he has AIDS. He's begging for his life, and I look out the window and I smile. It's like, what a just a painful. And the only reason I was directed by Jean-Marc Verlet, who the late great, he died way too young. But the reason is they were bouncing light. There was they don't use a manufactured light. Everything was natural light in that movie. If it was a plugged in lamp, that's the light we had. So there was never lights were moved in. So they were bouncing light off the side street because it was downtown New Orleans. And so there's a guy with like an 80-foot, thing. And he goes, try to look to the window so you can catch some light. And so I look to the window and I smile when he tells me he has AIDS. And it's like, it's just everybody was floored. They're like, like crying. And, we did like 40 takes or something like that. It was crazy. I think we did like 45 takes. And by that, Jared and I were just spent. Point being is everybody in the industry saw that. And everybody in the industry saw that. And so Barry Jenkins sees my self-tape for Underground Railroad. And he goes, it's the dad from Dallas Buyers. Oh, yeah. I want to work with that guy. I saw that movie and I want to work with that guy. Sound familiar? I saw that movie and I want to work with that guy. I get on set and I walk up to him and I go, hey, man, the diner scene, and I go, that's why we're here. I said it, and he goes, the diner scene. He goes, you're seen in Dallas Buyers Club. He said, we were meant to work, like we're good. Like, that's why you're here. And I was just like, I found my collaborator, man. You know what I mean? You find your people, you find your tribe, right?
Yeah.
So that's the story on that. For me, Roe v. Wade is a little hard. It's a little harder. I don't want to give that movie any time or attention because the people behind the movie had a really severe agenda, of which they achieved their agenda, which is to overturn Roe v. Wade. And I don't believe that movie had any sway in that. I don't think anybody fucking saw it. The people that were behind it didn't pay the actors, didn't pay the crew. We're still in litigation with them. So fuck them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just fuck them. You know what I mean? You can't look. And I did something that even I think my daughter was not very happy with. Was just why would you? So many people passed on that movie. So many people didn't want to be part of it. And my feeling too is, and this is still this is part of our cancer culture thing too. I did it for one. Also, I stay home. I get paid. I don't have to get on a plane. I don't have to be away from my kids. So for me, there's great value in being with my family, being at home, and going to make a movie 20 minutes away. So there's something for that. And I made them pay my rate. I go, I don't give a shit if it's independent. You got John Boyd, you got all. You're paying my rate. So you're going to pay like everybody else. Even though the way in which that you finance this, you've made false promises to people. You use people. You're using religion as a means to, like, I don't like the way in which you went about this. Yeah. But I do have this feeling like I think, and again, I'm sticking with it, but I'm not supporting the movie, is that I do think we can still creatively tell stories with people that we don't agree with.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
because definitely. I think it's a sad commentary. It's easy to just cancel them or fire them. That's an easy thing to do. Nobody gains anything from that. But the movie's called Roe v. Wade, and you're Wade. Like that's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
Did I think that Roe v. Wade would ever be overturned? No. Did I think that movie had an influence on it? Probably not. The fact that the guy that wrote it couldn't even memorize his lines and played the role, and I was like, you wrote this. How do you not know your own lines? Like, it was just a clusterfuck of people that didn't know what the hell they were doing, and somebody who was from a very wealthy family. That probably at the cost of many people that you and I both know. Yeah. So, we
ain't gonna talk about that, though.
Right. So exactly. So we're done. We're done with that. But the point is, there were some things of like they wanted to talk about some things. I educated myself and actually learned some things that I didn't know. That I think at that time that there was a manipulation of information, and there was a way in which they were trying to do whatever they needed to do in order to, to not fight, to not have it happen. Mm-hmm. And they did very well for a long period of time. So I feel for me, I felt, John Voight and I don't politically agree with each other, but we're in the same movie. So I feel like if we can't create art together, and then we really do have a problem. I mean, we have a problem in our country already, but I feel like if we can't create art with people that we disagree with, then that's a really quite a sad statement. So that was, I have my reasons. I sleep well at night. I'm good.
So what do you think about the Writers Guild strike and everything?
100% necessary. The other thing I realized is moved my entire life from California to Louisiana right around the time that I started really working in Louisiana right around the time the last Writers Guild strike. And, I do not think technology companies should be involved in the creative arts. I just don't.
Me either.
You know what I mean? I don't. The people that are producers, all the people that weigh in on all, how many chefs are in this kitchen, they've never done an art class. They've never did a writing class. They've never, shot a movie. You know what I mean? So I think some of these technology companies do not understand storytelling, the importance and value of it, the human condition. A lot more of the people that are in executive positions come from business, technology, or law backgrounds, as opposed to studios used to be run by filmmakers, people who really made movies. For me, everybody was justified in it. The ratios, just like in society, are off. They're wrong. There's a few less billionaires, and for what Elon Musk is creating, and to send people to the moon, homelessness would be totally fucking resolved.
Facts.
Every single person in our country would have a house to live in, a place, a resident, a roof over their head, and mental illness and addiction. And so you want to spend your money on these things, saving the planet, save the people.
Facts. Yeah.
And if you save the people, you will save the planet. But you can't do it. You can't plan this little billionaire colony you're going to build on the moon or Mars. You know what I mean? Without the people, and just like any other colonist, you're going to have to fucking, oppress someone in order for you to do that. So, why don't you use your money towards that? So for me, it felt imbalanced. These guys had billions of dollars to play around with. They lost more money than they would have had to give us in the beginning anyways. I don't think we got all the things that we wanted. In terms of the Writers Guild, I felt like protections of AI are important. Replacing human jobs, to tell stories should still be humans. My biggest thing I had during COVID, I had like 7,000 people look on my videos, and it's on my Instagram page, is I think you should have CEOs replaced by AI. Because being a CEO of a tech company or an entertainment, as you've clearly pointed out, has nothing to do with being a human being at all.
Facts.
Because what you did to human beings is unconscionable. That you put hundreds of thousands, millions of workers out of work in order to line your pocket. You collecting $200 to $300 million in salary. They just approved $30 million for the two guys on Netflix. Fuck you, pay me. That's what I said. Fuck you, pay me. And my point is that I go, 87% of the people in my union can't make $26,000 a year to afford insurance. Tell me a major city in America where someone is not below the poverty level at $26,000 a year. $2,000 a month is $24,000 a year. How is somebody going to pay rent if they're making $2,000? If they're clearing $2,000 a month minimum wage? The disparity of wealth is just fucking disgusting.
Yeah,
it's and the fact that that you lost more than you would have put. Like I don't. So why did you do it then? What is the point? To show how powerful you are? Show how much you can fucking break people? People are broke and still broken from this. So the fact that. And again, politicians, like George Carlin said, they're only there to give you the feeling that you have rights and freedoms. They're whores on both sides. They on both sides. I don't give a shit. They're all corruptible, and we found that out. And so, point is, politicians didn't step in to help certain human beings. And the auto workers union, for example, their latest deal, it was like, oh my God, there's all these big gains. They're getting the same money they got 20 years ago.
Facts. Real talk.
20 years ago, brother. I'm like, the residuals I'm getting now, I got more than So somebody's making, as Snoop said, somebody's making money off of this shit. I'm like, how is this possible? Because when I sell an album and I do this song, this money leads to this money goes in my pocket.
Yes.
You tell me I got all these streamings. I don't see the downloads. I don't see the money. Something
ain't adding up.
Right. Something ain't right. So my point is I felt like the good news is I felt that this contract is a step forward for both of us. AI protections, protecting people's jobs. Yes, you think you could get, two guys that are good on AI and two writers to do all, pull all the information to tell stories and make it sing. You could do that, but I don't think you. So my pitch is, I turn to all the shareholders of all these major companies and I go, get AI for your CEO. Save your $200,000-$300,000 salary. Fact. Because let them do the algorithms. Because if it's really all about money, it's all about eyes and all about views and all about ad revenue. That doesn't require a human being at all. That's a bean counter. That's a technology. So make CEOs artificial intelligence.
There you go. Hey,
I'm sure that's really going to help my job security. Which is why I'm going to the theater.
Don't hire James anymore. Don't hire James anymore.
Exactly. It's like, did he say, and I was like, look, and I just feel like there's just too much. You have too much and we have too little. But here's the other side to it. You need us.
Yeah, definitely. You definitely do.
You need us.
Yeah.
Because COVID hit, billions of hours of content were burned during COVID. Why? Because people need to hear human stories. People need, even if it's people that they think they're Kardashians, they want to. That's fine. It's fine. They still need it.
Facts.
You need me. So don't disrespect me and don't starve everybody out in order to make a point, because it wasn't really about money. It was about power.
Yeah.
And that's why I say, fuck you, pay me.
All right, Mr. James. I'm
gonna have to be a pimp on these guys. I'm like, where's my money?
I know.
We're streaming. Where's my money? Show me the money.
Hey, look, Mr. James, we're gonna have to do this again. But,
number one worldwide download, Amazon. Show me the money. Worldwide. I better be checked. I'm gonna check my bank account, check my mail in 6 months. I better see number one.
Mr. James,
one and a whole bunch of zeros. That's what I'm looking for.
I said, look,
I want that Shohei. I want that Shohei money. I want that 700 million. I want 70 million for 10 years. Whoa.
But look, Mr. James, I said we definitely gonna have to do this again. You got so many.
We go on for hours, and I think I've already gone over. My publicist text me 3 times. I'm like, look, I'm busy.
Hey, look, but
doing my job here, bro.
I got one more question though.
Go ahead.
My last question I love to ask on my guests. When it is all said and done and you're long gone from this earth, what is it that you want the people to know about James Dumont?
That the world or the planet was better because he was here. It was a better place to live, to laugh, to love, and and he was it's so funny because I asked that same question too. Like if they were, what would you want them to say about you while when you're not here, And then the other one asked his favorite swear word, and mine's motherfucker. Fuck is the big one that everybody says, but like dumbass or motherfucker, because dumbass is great. Dumbass, it's a great one, but motherfucker is great. That's my favorite one. So Candy Cane Lane. I'm gonna do my little pimping here. You can find me on Instagram at James Dumont, Dumont. If you're interested in learning about classes, it's On Camera Workouts. That's on Instagram as well. And the website's oncameraworkouts.com. And I'm on Facebook, but all my fans, I got all friends. But Instagram's my jam. Okay. And I do that other thing, X, whatever the fuck it's called now, that Elon. I'm just gonna get off that. I'm not trying to align myself with white supremacists at this point. I'll leave that to the roles I play, but that's not what I want to be social mediaing about. You know what I mean? I don't need to align myself with that kind of, craziness.
Well, I thank you.
That's where you can find me in Candy Cane Lane. And then please binge watch The Righteous Gemstones. If you have HBO Max or whatever the fuck call it these days, it's Righteous Gemstones. I'm telling you, hypocrisy at the most hilarious, beautiful action comedy level. It's just fun out fun. So
All right.
enjoy.
Well, thank you, Mr. James Dumont. I truly appreciate you. Hang tight right quick before we end.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right, and I'll be right back. But thank you for this interview.
Absolutely.
All right, and hang tight.